This is David Patrick, Fitzstock Charts, a market video update for April 10, 2019. We are in a 9-day uptrend. And this is our third good uptrend of 2019. This is when we get paid. I remain ultra long the market, leverage long actually, which is over 100%. Does that mean you should be over 100%? No. You always have to stick with your own unique risk profile, your own unique trading time horizon, whatever your comfort level is. But you must capitalize on the uptrends. If your comfort level is max 50% in, then you need to be 50% in on the uptrends. If your max is 150%, then do that. I've been well over 100% most of this uptrend. I've also scaled, and I've also raised stops to protect my gains. And that's what I advise everyone doing. Scaling is an important part of the methodology, and adding on price strength confirmation is also very critical on success, on long-term success. We're going to continue to look at our 1998 historical chart pattern comparison that we knocked it out of the park again with. It will diverge eventually, and then we're going to look at other analogs. 90% club just keeps growing. We'll look at that in a moment. This year, 149 different stocks have engaged with the service. 119 winners, 13 losses, 8 no scales, 86% win rate, unheard of in the industry. And so is this, 1,030 different stock options that have essentially doubled 90% or more. Some of them are up 2, 3, 4, 5, 600%. 88 triplers, 29, what is this? 88 doublers year to date, 29 triplers year to date, 288 triplers since we launched the service. So 29 triplers this year. That's I mean, we are in April. It's crazy. I mean, 88 different options have essentially doubled or more just this year. We make our money in uptrends. Allocate accordingly. This is our historical chart pattern comparison in 1998. On the left, we have Death Cross right here. We have Golden Cross. On the left, on the right, Dow Jones. Death Cross, Golden Cross. I have highlighted in some circles and some rectangles on where we could be on this analog still. We were prepared for a sell-off this week. We talk about it every single month. Does it have to happen? No. Is it a pattern that continues to happen with probability? Yes. The market pulls back the week before option expiration. Many times it creates some sort of pivotal low in the market to trade long off of or to add more longs. So if you're not properly long allocated, you're using the dips to buy. Now, I'm over 100% long market exposure, and I'm using the ES, which is the S&P 500 trading futures, to short and long using our rules of engagement. Okay, so if we're going to continue on the same pattern, left is 1998. Yeah, we saw a nice bounce to new highs. We are not going to predict that. We're going to watch to see if that happens. That would make sense because we are the week before OPEX. We still are in an uptrend. The weekly time frame is still bullish. This historical chart pattern comparison is suggesting higher prices once we get through this week, but we have to wait and see. Dow Jones Diamonds is seeing MACD bear cross if we close week today. And if we close below the 10 SMA, it's going to go out of trend. So it needs to bounce soon. And we're off the lows today, but you know, we got a lot of day to trade here. It's only 11 a.m. So let's change our time frame. And let's look real fast at our weekly, which is our higher time frame. We're looking at the Dow Jones here. And you can see we are in what? About a 12 or 13 week uptrend. And our 10 SMA is right there. MACD still looks good. When we flip over to the SPX, same type of deal. MACD still is bullish. Price is still above the 10 SMA. Still in a multi-week uptrend line. A green 10 SMA is 28.05. So we're still a ways away from that. When we switch to the daily, And we blow up the screen a little bit so we can see what's going on. 2868 is the rising 10 SMA and the SPX. And that's the area that we would want to stay above this week on a closing basis. And yes, MACD is flat here. So we're going to not predict. We're going to see if we see a rebound above the 10 SMA or at the 10 SMA today, tomorrow, or Friday. And then maybe see some sort of rally into earnings season, which starts next week, I believe. Actually, I believe it starts Friday with JP Morgan. I always say that the earnings season starts with JP Morgan. I'm not sure if I said this, but I will. Next week, I'm going to be out most of the week. Does that mean there's no service? No, that doesn't mean there's no service. I'm going to do charts while you sleep. You'll get that this weekend, so you're going to have plenty of ammunition. I'll do some sort of video update on Wednesday with more ESFL entries. So you're going to have ammunition all week. I'm going to have video updates. I'm just not going to be up on Twitter next week at all. At all. So Twitter will not be up next week. You still have plenty of ammunition to trade. Like I said, I'm going to be out of town. I like to recharge my batteries around this time every year and come in and start trading again aggressively. So, but I still run the service when I'm out of town. I just won't be posting. I can't sit there and be out of town trying to take a break and then post on Twitter, 24/7. This is not what I'm going to do. So just giving the advance notes with that. I'll remind you about that also. But there'll be plenty of ESFL entries to trade off of, like there always is, and like I've done every year when I go out of town. Okay, so with that said, we're currently up 6 handles in the S&P. We're currently in a 9-day uptrend. MACD is flat. We saw the golden cross like we thought, and we're pausing in these gap fill areas up here, which is exactly what we thought. So let's go into the NASDAQ. Same thing. What is this gray box? This is our projected price zone. We've talked about this for multi-months now. And, we're sniffing out the top of the zone, and we're just grinding away. So it still looks good. There's relative strength in certain sectors. Let's look at oil future. Continues above the 200 SMA. And, yeah, I think we get back to 70 bucks at some point with oil futures. So let's look at XLE. Grinding nowhere. There's no momentum right now on the ETF. And we will not focus on something that has no momentum. This is exactly this wedge we talked about. Get to the bottom of the wedge, go back in the middle, and just it's doing nothing. So the financials and energy doing absolutely nothing. Small caps, that's another wedge that's doing nothing. It's right in the middle of the wedge. So that's not telling us anything. Now this is interesting. Transports are in this uptrend, bull flagging. You'd like to see price strength confirmation because we're not seeing leadership in oil. We're not seeing it in our financials. We're not seeing it in small caps. We need to see it somewhere. And we'll get the technology in a moment. But by the way, when we look at the Qs do look good. And I'm still long the Qs. I'm 6% long market exposure with the Qs, Spiders, Dow, and Apple. And you already know that. So IBB, yeah, there's the wedge, and there we are right in the middle of it. So we're doing nothing there. Gold, yeah, I don't see a trade here. You see this MACD just goes up, down, up, down, up, down. There's not much of a trade. We're both flagging above. We're sandwiched between moving averages. Don't like it for a new trade. Same things with bonds. The trade was back here. That one in the 90% club. Right in here, we got this gap fill. MACD's flat. It's right at the 10 SMA. That's not a good new trade. I do remain bullish bonds long-term, meaning the next 6 months. All right, let's flip to stocks and see what we got. I am long Apple. I added right there in his breakout. I posted, and then I scaled. You got to scale, right? Raise my stop. You know where my stops are. They're listed on the daily updates. That's how you trade. You pay yourself. That's scaling is an important part of the methodology. We have our entry prices. We know where to scale. If you don't, go on the website under subscribers or email me. We use the scaling to reduce risk, to pay ourselves, and then we re-add on price strength confirmation like we did with Apple and Xilinx earlier. And let me just show you. So here we have a bull flag, and I got long Apple and posted it. And then I'm scaling. So I'm scaling up in here, right? Booking profits. And what did I do? You wait for another bull flag. Well, this is another bull flag. And then we erupted. So I added. I doubled up my runner there and got paid. And then we pulled back. I went only, I think, 10 or 5% Apple. I think it was 10% Apple. We started to come back up, and I added. That's how you trade. You trade by paying yourself, by scaling, by adding a price strength confirmation. That's what you do. Okay, Amazon. Grinding. And why is Amazon really not doing anything? Look at the MACD. It's just going sideways. We like it at an angle up, 45 degree preferably. And, you know, you're never going to see really a 90. But at 45, you know, this is actually, that's pretty good angle there. And that's when you get paid money. There. This sideways action is just, it's a tough trade. There's no momentum. And I still think it looks fine. Unfortunately, there's no momentum. Netflix, not doing anything. Look at MACD, price sideways. That's not what we trade. By the way, Apple still looks good. Amazon still looks good. Just wouldn't add to them today. Tesla all over the place. Not a great ad. Google consolidating. Look at this MACD though. Got the MACD at multi-week lows. So you got some conflicting indicators there. And that's going to be a tough one to take long to add. We got this wedge pattern with Facebook continues to grind higher. MACD, that is the angle we want to see on the MACD. So Facebook still looks good. Maybe it gets back up to 185. So Apple, Amazon, Facebook still look good. Google's a little bit sideways. NVIDIA looks very good. Still filling this gap. We talked about this bottoming process. Head, left shoulder, right shoulder. We talked about it last year. Facebook, NVIDIA, Apple will see bottoming processes this year, the first half of the year. And, you know, we hit it out of the park with these. So congrats if you took those. Intel continues to be a leader, and that does look good, and so does Texas Instruments. So I think both those look fine. AMD, not so much. Micron, not so much. Avgo, yes, it's a leader. OLED's in 90% club. It's hitting a 52-week high. That's a leader. XL, Xilinx, 52-week high. Yes, that's another ad. After this consolidation, we're seeing MACD bull cross. This thing has a very good high odds of going to 135, 140. That looks very good. It does look like another ad. So we got 5 stocks so far that looks pretty good. They look pretty good. Microsoft, grinding. MACD's flat. Price action's fine. For a new trade, no. Adobe, Coop. Coop looks good. I think the MACD bull cross, I think that's the 6th stock I think that I mentioned that looks pretty good. Now is going up without MACD, so it's going to need that MACD to catch up. CRM, yeah, MACD's not cooperating. Workday, that looks good. And I tell you what, if this breaks this downtrend line, we see a MACD bull cross, that could be the 7th stock that I think could be paying us very shortly. Jobs looks very good. Splunk looks pretty good. MACD's heading in the right direction. Splunk, I mean, that's 8 or 9 stocks right there that look pretty good. Team, not so much. SQ, you know, just losing some momentum here. Do we look at FF5V? Yeah, not so much. Look at China, BABA, both flagging, but if we, if we really look at this MACD, right now it's heading sideways. So you need price strength confirmation to drive that MACD back up. Looks fine. Just doesn't look like those other 9 stocks we mentioned. Baidu's coming back down, and that's why we scaled that thing. Because you just don't know. Just like Apple, it's pulling back today out of the blue, showing relative weakness after yesterday's strength. CYBR looks good. MACD's curling back up, and I do think that one's going to 130. So that might be the 9th stock I just mentioned that I like. Panwa looks all right. VMW looks really good with MACD bull cross coming. I think that's our 10th stock I like a lot. Fly through these. I don't see too much more. Oops. Come on. Sorry about that. Shop does look pretty good. If we can see this MACD bull cross, I think that one's going to 220. So the 11th stock. Let's go to the boring stuff. JP Morgan, Citigroup, Bank of America. You got to remember that earnings start Friday, so you can't touch these anyway here. You just got to wait to see how they react after earnings and if they're going to reset up. So we flew through those. What about GoDaddy? GoDaddy actually and Wix both look good. So that's 12 stocks that look pretty good. What about exchanges? We talked about this. When this thing broke the 10 SMA, what did I say? I said this has a magnet to go touch the golden, the death cross. Exactly what happens. Then what I say? It's either going to do a double bottom, break, or a higher low. And we're not going to predict. But we do know wherever it does, if it comes down here, it then breaks back above 172.5, that would be pretty bullish. It'd be sign of a bottoming formation, which we look for because we don't predict bottoms. Go to oil. No, they don't interest me. At least not right now, they don't. And we can fly through those. What about wind? Another bull flag, Las Vegas Sand. That looks like it's bull flagging. MGM, not so much. So the other two I would look at. Cannabis doing anything? No. Kronos. Why am I typing in the wrong stuff today? Kronos. If anything, these things look, they look like short candidates. They're just deteriorating. So flip over to the biotechs. Gilead, Amgen, no. Jazz, no. Aluminum actually looks decent. ISRG, yes. And I've been saying this one for weeks, that I thought this was the strongest one in that sector, and I thought that it was going to new highs, and it is. So that's the 13th stock that I like long. And did we look at Alexion? It looks okay. It doesn't have the MACD. So ISRG looks pretty good. CMG, new highs without MACD. Be careful on the ad when you see that. That's bearish divergence. Twillo, MACD does not look good. IQ, no. DOCU, that's interesting. MACD bull cross, starting to get some momentum here. I think we're going back to 60 on DOCU. Not too much, or not too bad. Okay, so Lyft, we talked about you have to use a 5-minute chart here, and if you did, you made some money in here. As soon as it broke a previous day's low, you knew you were out because we don't have enough data to trade this swing yet. Probably need about 3 or 4 more days before we can really start looking at this one. And once again, I wouldn't chase it on the short side. Just let this thing go down. When they IPO like this, just let them go down without you. Wait. Now this is confirming MACD at new lows, price at new lows. So now this is going to take much more a longer time probably to set up on the long side. We'll keep looking at it, but I don't see anything as soon with that one. Okay, so it is 11:18 Eastern on April 10th. We're in a 9-day uptrend. We're getting paid. Our 4th uptrend of the year, our 3rd good uptrend. Our first, sorry, the 2nd uptrend was a 40-day uptrend. 2008 paid us with 11 uptrends. So we were really spoiled there. And we already have 4 in. One of them was quick back in here. It didn't pay right away. But the last 3 have paid very, very, very nice. And I mentioned on Twitter that if we continue on the historical chart pattern comparison of 1998, and once again, we will diverge at some point. And let's just say we come up here next week. If we're going to continue on the same page, this is what, the month of May could look like. Just consolidation before at some point, maybe coming back up and taking out new highs. So I do think the month of May, or even let's say going into next week, and once again, I'm not going to be around next week on Twitter, that we could see some consolidation. Will there still be some great trades? Absolutely. I don't think it's going to be a great index trade. Going long SPXL for a new entry, going long TQQQ for a new entry. This could be the time to sell some covered calls, day trade the ES 500 future, and continue to trade the ESFL, which is going to show you the relative strength and relative weakness. So that's all I have for you, the market video update. Have a great trading day.